Have you ever thought about living somewhere else in the world in your retirement? Where should you live? Let's talk about that on this Something More with Chris Boyd.
Welcome to Something More with Chris Boyd. Chris Boyd is a certified financial planner practitioner and senior vice president financial advisor at Wealth Enhancement Group, one of the nation's largest registered investment advisors. We call it Something More because we'd like to talk not only about those important dollar and cents issues, but also the quality of life issues that make the money matters matter. Here he is, your fulfillment facilitator, your partner in prosperity, advising clients on Cape Cod and across the country. Here's your host, J. Christopher Boyd.
Welcome to Something More with Chris Boyd. I'm Chris Boyd, and I'm here with Russ Ball. We are both of the AMR team with Wealth Enhancement. Glad to have you with us. I came across an article over the last few weeks with the topic of the best global retirement havens for Americans in 2026. And it caught my eye. I thought, would I want to live there? Some of these choices, and then other ones I was like, I might want to live there, so I thought it might be kind of a fun topic, capture the imagination as we think about where would you want to live as you think about all these interesting places around the world. Where is there a good cost of living trade-off? Might be some financial incentive, and how does it work for a visa and so forth? And is it good healthcare? I don't know. What are the things you might think about? So this article, by the way, we'll have it in the show notes. Might be a good resource to look at, but a lot to think about. And I thought it was kind of a fun subject to tackle as we start a new year again and thinking about planning. Let your imagination wander, right? What would you want? What excites you about the future? Maybe it's foreign travel or living somewhere else. For some people that might have no appeal. It might be something else, but whatever it is that gets you excited about the future, this is a time to be thinking about planning and preparing. And this might be one of those things that helps motivate you as you plan for tomorrow. So, or maybe you're in that stage of life where this could be your today,
right?
And some things that might be helpful to think about. So, where should we begin, Russ? Do you have a thought?
Well, I mean, this list that you found is pretty interesting. We got.
Why don't we go through the list and tell everyone like what their choice of the top 10 locations around the world that might be of interest to Americans to live in other locations. You want to just rattle off the list a little bit?
Sure. So I don't know if I don't know what the order here is, or if it's just kind of random. But
I don't think it's a Dave Letterman thing where we number 10, go number one choice. I mean, we could do that, anyway.
I'll just start rattling them off.
Yeah,
so
just go through there.
Greece, you got Panama, Costa Rica, Portugal, Mexico, Italy, France, Spain, Thailand, and Malaysia. So an eclectic mix there.
Yeah. So I think one thing I sense a theme through these is largely warm climates.
Yeah.
You think of Greece, you think of white sandy beaches, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I want to head straight to Athens, though. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, I guess it depends on where you're thinking, right? Now that personally doesn't appeal to me as a place to live, but I'd be a fun place to visit, I think.
Yeah.
But one of the things that this article gave thought to were a variety of considerations. Among them were the costs of living, and all of these, well, maybe not all, but several of these. One of the variables that were attractive about it was, was it more affordable to be able to live in these destinations? Of the first several, I don't think I'm eager. I'm just going to voice my own opinion. You can talk about your opinion. I would like to visit Panama, Greece, Panama, Costa Rica. These are all places I'd like to visit. I'm not sure whether I'd want to live there. Of course, I haven't been to these places yet, so that might be a factor in my thinking. I've been to Portugal, and I found that to be a very hospitable um, destination. And I gather there are a lot of Americans making their way to retire in Portugal, and I think they've made it very appealing to make it manageable. Um, Mexico, interestingly, is another destination. I remember talking with a Holy Cross alum who lived in Mexico in his retirement, an attorney. Um, does not appeal to me at all, but I think it's again, it's a matter of where you might be that you think of as where would I want to
Hmm.
be, as because I think of Mexico and I think, oh, would I be safe, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe if you know where in Mexico, you might have a different view of that sort of thing, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Italy sounds appealing. I don't think I'd be very healthy there because I'd probably eat so much, but also and the wine, right? You
Yep.
think of Italy as all these great food and drink, but also the culture. I could see the appeal of that. France, same thing. Lots of food, lots of drink. Sounds pretty good. Spain, I haven't been there. I'd like to investigate Spain. Thailand, that's a destination I'd like to visit. I'm not sure about living there
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
See, some of these places, like I know Portugal was very there. It was very easy to speak English and find people
That's a
who
good point.
communicate
Yeah. Trying to.
effectively. Um, I think you'd have that in places like Panama and Costa Rica as well. I assume Mexico, um, but I don't know. Would Thailand or Malaysia be as much that way?
Well, you might have to stretch yourself a little and
Might have to
learn
learn
a
the
different
language.
language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think that's probably true of anywhere you live with a different language. You'd have to become more adept at the
Yeah.
local language,
Yeah.
which could
Definitely.
be fun too.
Yeah.
But what would you focus on?
I mean, I was pretty surprised to see France and Italy on here. I wouldn't have thought of those as, like cost
Cost
effective
effective, yeah.
destinations.
I think they're saying in more rural areas, isn't
Right.
it?
Right.
With like France, they specifically said in more rural parts of the countryside,
Got it.
perhaps.
But
I don't know.
that sounds
I don't.
great.
I don't know that you're going to live in Paris
No, no,
and
no.
find that. But yeah,
Uh,
that does sound pretty
Wine
nice.
country in
Yeah,
France. That
yeah,
sounds
that sounds pretty good.
pretty good.
Yeah, I could live with that. Um, Bordeaux or something. Yeah.
And the other piece, I mean, I think of some of these, like, yeah, for example, Mexico. My fiance's family is from Mexico, and your retirement dollar can go a lot further.
Well, that's
in
a great point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a country like Mexico where the cost of living is just significantly less, and some of these on the list have significantly lower cost of living. I know that was one of the points of the article, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that was
your
kind of interesting. I mean, Thailand, for example, extremely low cost of living.
yeah,
Well, and there's some fabulous beaches in Thailand too. I don't know if you've heard that.
yeah, definitely.
But let's just go through this. Greece, they said lower cost of living, housing is affordable. When it came to healthcare, private insurance for two people around $300.
Yeah,
Wow. I mean, imagine that here, right? The
yeah,
costs are much different. Um, there are one of the things you have to think about here is the challenges of residency. There's different rules in every country as to how that works. So I don't think we'll get into a great deal of depth on that here. The article is very helpful, though, in kind of pairing out, some of the issues to consider. With Panama, they said it's about 60% less than the cost of living in the United States.
wow,
That's
yeah,
pretty meaningful, as you were saying, with perhaps Mexico, also very low, and some familiar stores. I said, like uh, some of the things Walmart, Costco.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
that's funny. Costa Rica, moderate cost of living, and potential property rights. So you could, essentially own property there. Um, let's see. They said they have a very good healthcare system.
I think that's a theme that keeps popping up, right? In this list is the cost of healthcare being relatively affordable compared to healthcare needs potentially in the United States.
Well, you don't know what the
The
quality of
yeah.
care is. We tend to complain about our healthcare system a lot, and yet it is also one of the best healthcare systems in the world. So it's a challenge to, maybe one as you think about in retirement, because these are retirement destinations. Healthcare is one of those things you do have to give some consideration to. What would be the quality and benefit of
Right.
that?
I mean, just
Certainly,
'cause-
it's a cost,
yeah.
but how will you be cared for?
Right. And just because the costs are lower in a different country might mean you have to wait to get that healthcare.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something to that effect. Yeah.
Exactly right. So that can be a challenge. On the other hand, in other parts of the world, sometimes the healthcare system is much more affordable in terms of the way it's structured, in or built into their tax system. Um, in any case, and I think that was kind of the theme of most of these locations, was that you could potentially find places where the costs of living could be notably lower than what we might typically find in the United States. Not necessarily in all parts of these countries, as you pointed out, in like France. You might, or maybe it's in Spain. You might not always find that it's the cheapest.
Not across the board.
But it depends on what you're doing. In any event, I found this really interesting because it was a good way to think about. You've got cost of living, healthcare considerations, and what's required of you. What's the ease of the visa process? So it was a good article to think about. Big picture, if you're thinking of living overseas, there's a lot of variables to think about. I think we hear people who are politically disgruntled say, "That's it, I'm leaving the country," right? But how many people really do? And then when you think about it, where would you really go?
Yeah.
And some people do like the idea of just like that the thrill of going somewhere. It's a couple of years, just to expand their horizons.
Yeah. And some people will split their year up between I have family who's done this actually with Portugal, where a family member spent half the year in Portugal and half the year back home in New York. Or
have fun.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's complications that come up, but that's for a specific period of time that might make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The other is I have another extended family member that is doing, him and his wife are doing a basically a tour of the United States. They've been doing it for years in an RV, and they don't have an actual
that sounds
home.
Fun. That sounds very difficult, but very fun.
Yeah, well, I guess it suits them, and they've seen every corner of the United States and probably at least twice. But
would you ever do that?
I don't think it'd be for me. I definitely would like the idea of traveling abroad and doing like an extended period, at like
Kristen's talked about that too. She would love the idea of like some little village somewhere. Exactly. Just a different experience of.
And I love the travel aspect. When you're traveling, it's like got to fit it all in, got to do everything in a short amount of time,
right?
And then you're back and you're like, wow, I wish I could have appreciated this town or that town or that,
and the culture of the experience.
So having it drawn out a little bit more, that would definitely be very appealing.
I can see the appeal of that, but not forever. Like I would.
Right. You want a home base.
Well, it's of course what right?
Yeah.
But I'm American. I love my country. I want to live here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the appeal of far off lands and some, the culture and the food and the history and so forth. All of these things are intriguing, and I can see the appeal of an extended experience and how that's different. To experience the culture in a way that you wouldn't on a trip, Similarly to your, so you look like you were going to
Yeah, I was
comment.
just gonna say, like, in theory, this all seems so, like, it seems great. So why wouldn't everyone do this, right? But then, for example, I have a friend who within the last several years moved to England, and he's a US citizen. He got married in England, and now he's talking to me about all the different financial implications of moving to a different country, and the tax situation, and how is it double tax to US and
Yeah.
UK, and
Yeah.
inheritance tax that's in
A
the
different
UK, it's
experience.
like much higher than anything here. So it's just there are a lot of nuances that in when you're thinking about, wow, I would love to live a couple years in Portugal or something.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that you need to consider and think about, not to put a damper on it, but
it's not always as
as easy as hopping on a plane and
yeah,
and planning down
and that extended vacation imagery that we have.
Right.
That's a good point. You also talked about living in the RV.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a client who is planning to buy a yacht and travel the world.
Yeah.
By boat.
Yeah.
And sail from one continent to the next,
basically around the world. Yeah.
Sounds interesting. Sounds fun. Sounds scary as hell to me, but it's an adventure, right? And
Totally.
You can see the appeal of that.
That's definitely an
adventure. But in my case, the idea of driving across country, or an extended road trip,
okay,
I think sounds appealing. I'm not sure I really want to do the RV thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I can't imagine Kristen and I driving together in a big behemoth, vehicle, and not getting on each other's nerves like that for driving. But I even driving, in a regular car seems like it would be it would be difficult for us. But I really do like the appeal of that. Just going from one place to the next
at your own pace,
seeing the country in that way.
It's definitely a unique experience.
Would be intriguing to me, and seeing some amazing sights along the way. So I like the idea of that as well. A little off topic from this subject, but I think when it comes down to it, whatever is your dream of this, all of it's possible. It's a question of planning, really, and knowing the details, to your point about some of the consequences of these implications. And similarly, when it comes to the preparations involved, it takes time, it takes planning, it takes deliberation. You should be thinking about this as it relates to your plan for your financial plan. What's your mind's eye, the ideal? What is that? Whether it's living abroad or maybe it's something else, what would really have that sort of dream someday of achieving? And or maybe it's within your grasp. Having a financial plan in place can help you to give some merit to, what can I afford? How would I do this? How would it work? In some cases, there's an expectation this might actually be a cost savings, which could have appeal. In other instances, it could be, oh, we still keep in the house, but we're living away for 6 months or something.
Yep.
So it's an added expense. But whatever that is, do some planning. And if we can be a resource, your financial planner for you, for our clients, or for someone who doesn't have someone to work with, we can probably be a resource to you with maybe just talk about some of our great planning resources, Russ, before we kind of wind down this episode.
Yeah, I'll definitely touch on that. One thing I wanted to mention is, a lot of clients that come to see us are maybe nearing retirement, or they start thinking about retirement, and that's the kind of the impetus behind seeing a financial advisor. It's like, do I have enough money to retire, and what is that going to look like for me in retirement? But so many people are chasing that retirement. All right, that's the marker. All right, that's when I get to stop working.
Yeah, someday, huh?
Well, that,
Yeah.
but it's like there's not much thought of, all right, what is my retirement going to be? Like, what is it going to look like? How am I going to live my life and enjoy the experiences that I want for myself? So, or for a family, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Fulfillment, right?
so rather
What's
than
that
just
look
being
like?
like, okay, this is the point at which I don't have to work, and then it's just a forever vacation. But we talk about this all the time. It's different than a forever vacation. It's just at some point it becomes, oh well, now the vacation is extending and extending and extending, and what else do I want to do? What I want to do that's going to bring me fulfillment? And yeah, I just feel like that's a important thing to think about if you're in that stage of life. What does that retirement picture look like to you? Because that can really inform the planning process. And then to your point about some of the planning software and the planning that we can do and the analysis we can do, we basically run.
Just before you jump into that, what you just said, we've talked with Dr. Roger Landry a couple of times on the show.
Mhm.
Um, he mentioned to us recently he and his wife took like I think it was like a 6 week tour of around parts of Europe
Mhm.
as part of, and he talks about what's that retirement experience, being in motion, moving towards something,
Yeah.
having goals and objectives and all that. But this was one of the things he and his wife did recently, was
So the extended
this
trips
extended
and
trip,
yeah,
and
that's
it was
awesome.
like experiencing things in a different way than you might otherwise.
Right.
A slow process through their travels,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind
And
of
that's one
fun.
of the nice things about retirement. It kind of affords that amount of time that you can have to do those kinds of unique experiences. But
So I took you off track.
yeah, so just from the financial planning side of things, we start with taking a look at clients' financial picture, basically all encompassing. We look at everything, all the investments, savings, some estate planning as well. We enter that all into some software that we have to create some projections for what is based on your expenditures, based on your income, based on your projected income in retirement through Social Security, your pensions, and that sort of thing. How does it all shape out? When we look into retirement, we set a longevity assumption, and we kind of stress test that. We see if it, what if you live longer? What if you don't live as long? And we can run these forecasts to really get a good sense of what that's going to look like for you in retirement, and how much we should be pulling, where should we be pulling from for liquidity. All those sorts of questions can usually be answered, at least from an initial perspective at the first planning offset, and then we dive deeper from there.
So there's a lot to consider, and making sure you have the resources at your disposal. We have some great resources to be a help in the process. But if you're finding it's a new year, it's that time when you think about the future a little bit more, look back, look ahead, kind of thing, and start thinking about what that might be for you. We have some resources to be helpful to you, and we offer a complimentary consultation and welcome you to consider reaching out to us if you'd like some help in your process. That can involve not only the portfolio and making sure you're investing well and sufficiently, or if you're at that stage where you're on the cusp of retirement or maybe well into retirement, making sure you're taking the right amount of risk for your needs, planning your cash flow effectively, having the appropriate amount of reserves. Sometimes people have too much, sometimes they have too little. We can help you navigate that a little bit. And then, putting it all into the context of how does this all fit together? What are some of the tax considerations? What are some of the estate planning considerations? How do we plan in an integrated way where we are deliberate and thoughtful, and try to put together a structure that will work for you now and in the future? So, wherever you're at on your journey, if you could benefit from a second set of eyes, that's what we offer as this time of year in particular, as a complimentary consultation. It's a two-step process. We start with an initial meeting. Really, we get to know you, your resources, your priorities, your family dynamics, and so forth. And then from there, we take all the information, maybe send you off to do a little homework, get a few things together for us. We then do some analysis. We put together a presentation for you and a proposal for you to say, how would this work if you were to follow our guidelines, our guidance? And if you should decide it's a good fit, you could always come back and work with us. And if not, you'll hopefully find you've gotten value from the experience. We'll share our information as we close out the show. Give us a call, send us an email. We'd be happy to speak with you. Russ, thanks for your participation and thoughts. Until next time, everyone, keep striving for something more.
Thank you for listening to Something More with Chris Boyd. Call us for help, whether it's for financial planning or portfolio management, insurance concerns, or those quality of life issues that make the money matters matter. Whatever's on your mind, visit us at somethingmorewithchrisboyd.com or call us toll free at 866-771-8901. Or send us your questions to amr-info@wealthenhancement.com. You're listening to Something More with Chris Boyd Financial Talk Show. Wealth Enhancement Advisory Services and J. Christopher Boyd provide investment advice on an individual basis to clients only. Proper advice depends on a complete analysis of all facts and circumstances. The information given on this program is general financial comments and cannot be relied upon as pertaining to your specific situation. Wealth Enhancement Group cannot guarantee that using the information from this show will generate profits or ensure freedom from loss. Listeners should consult their own financial advisors or conduct their own due diligence before making any financial decisions.